Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. You know, every so often we get a film like the one I'm going to cover next that even the most sleep person wakes up to the agenda, the predictive programming. The film that we're going to cover today is a pre-9/11 film called Biggles. And it literally shows in detail the millimeter wave weapon that turned the towers into dust 13 years before it happened. Now, before we get into that, yesterday's Decode on the Hunger Games Part 2 was blocked worldwide. Many of you probably noticed this. Blocked in almost every single country. So what I did was I put a link in the description of Part 1 for you to see Part 2, if in fact you missed it. It's up on Odyssey, of course, as are all the videos on this channel. And some people, you know, we have to put the ads on the videos so that we can stay on YouTube. But if the ads bother you, you can just watch the live show on Odyssey. Every single day, every single show is mirrored over there as a backup. So let's get into Biggles. And then after we decode Biggles, I've got a special update on the Honey Milk Ranch for you guys. I did a walkabout yesterday, and I'll get you guys caught up to speed on new stuff I'm working on over there. So let's get into Biggles. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's been chilly. It was actually really cold this morning, and the deer are out running around. There's frost on the ground, and so very, very cool. So what is this Biggles movie all about? Well, this is a time travel movie, and it's a time travel movie about time twins, they call them. These two individuals here, Jim and Mr. Biggles, they call them actual time twins. And these aren't the only twin references in the film. Remember the Twin Towers. There are also twin biplanes. There are also the twin London Bridge. And they actually even mention the number 9/11 upside down and reversed, which of course is the day that the Twin Towers fell. Now, the film had two release dates. Weirdly, it was released in 1986 and 1988. And 88, of course, 13 years later, was when the Twin Towers would shine these 88 xenon lights to commemorate 9/11. These purplish lights shined straight up into the sky, 88 of them to be exact. And that was in remembrance of the two 8-sided column twin buildings, because they were 8 sides each, because they had beveled edges. Now, there's something about time travel or portals going on here, but we'll get into that a little bit later in this decode. Now, the basic plot of Biggles, and I've got some clips for you guys here. The basic plot of this is that two men are linked together in the film through time, and the future man has to go back in time to his twin in 1917, the year before the flu epidemic that killed millions of people. Of course, that was in 1918, the following year. He has to go back so that he can help his twin to find a super weapon that was developed by the Germans. They used sound frequencies to turn steel into dust. I'm going to show all that to you today. Now, a man from 1917, this guy here, he's still alive in the current timeline in 1988. And he approaches the twin time traveler, which is this guy, to tell him what's going on. He knocks on his door and he's like, "What time is it?" And listen to what he says next.
Do you have the correct time? 11:16 exactly.
It's 11:16 exactly.
Notice how they both repeat it. 1116. All right, Casey, what does that mean? Take the number 1116 and flip it upside down, and you have 9/11/01. The exact date that the towers would fall 13 years after this film released. To confirm, they repeated it twice, because it's all about twins, right? Now, at this point, Jim is transported back to 1917, where he meets his time twin, another twin. Then they fly in a biplane, which is another twin. And then the two try and photograph the German sound weapon. Watch.
Must be a mistake. It should have happened by now.
I'll tell you what.
They may try to use the weapon against us. Make yourself useful. There's a helmet in the cockpit. The Germans have a new weapon. One that caused me to crash. I'm going to try and take another photograph.
So there is the weapon, and those were the time twins. And what's up with this twin thing? Well, let's break down history. 9/11 was a twin sacrifice to combine the two towers into one tower. And the whole 9/11 event was pointing forward 19 years later to COVID-19, which was the beginning of the main twin ritual. But all the rituals are connected because this was all about the erosion of freedoms, right? First, they had to soften the targets with the Patriot Act, which was then used during COVID-19 as part of national security. And all of this is pointing forward to preparing humanity for the twin spirits. It's so clear to me now, I can't even describe it to you how clear it is to me right now. And this is why the two events were 19 years apart. This is why there were allegedly 19 hijackers, right? It's all ritual. Now let's break this down a little bit further, because astronomically speaking, the sun and the moon cycles in the heavens form the number 88. Now, we just had a full moon last night, and this popped into my mind. I pulled out my scope that I got to look at deer around the property. And when you shine something like that up at the moon, it's amazing how much detail you can get with a simple scope. Not a telescope, just a field scope. I was like, it's amazing how perfectly round the moon is. It's supposed to be this rock floating around up there, except it appears so round that it's almost unreal. It's a perfect sphere, which is, everyone will tell you, is not possible. Now people will say, oh, well, that's just because it's so far away. It looks like a perfect circle. Well, no. It's way too perfectly round to be what we think it is. Now, I don't want to get off into rabbit trails here about the moon, but suffice it to say, isn't it kind of weird that the moon perfectly covers the sun? Think about all of the mathematical observations and mathematical synchronicities and that would have to happen for the moon to perfectly cover an object that is supposed to be millions and millions and millions and millions of miles further away. Think of the odds of all the things that would have to fall into place for that to happen. And you notice something, don't you? You notice that in our solar system, they don't like to talk about eclipses on other planets, do they? Because if they began to talk about eclipses on other planets and their moons, they would have to admit that it almost never happens. They would have to admit that we are the center of the universe. They would have to admit that the odds of that happening is a supernatural feat within itself, proving that there's a God who created all of it. Correct? So what am I on about this sun and moon cycles and how completely the moon covers the sun during an eclipse. Well, what I'm talking about here is a thing called analemma. We've talked about this a bit on the channel over the years. It's the fact that throughout the year, if you were to take a picture of the sun in the sky at each interval of the year, say once a month, and then if at the same exact time each day, and then if you were to do the same thing with the moon, they form a figure 8 in the sky. Now you can look this up. It's called analemma. And so therefore, the number 8 and another number 8 beside it, 88, is the numerical visual symbol for the sun and the moon in the sky. Again, they form the shape of an 8. So 8 is the sun and 8 is the moon, 88. So for that reason, the number 88 seems to represent time and space, or some kind of a portal. Now, here's where things get interesting. Because the sun and moon overlap each other in their cycles in 19-year intervals. Now, how can this be? How can the sun and the moon, that are supposed to be millions and millions and millions of miles apart, have 19-year intervals? How can they share a 19-year interval? And in other words, every 19 years, the sun is at the exact same point in the sky, and every 19 years, the moon is at the same exact point in the sky. And this is why eclipses happen almost at the same exact point on Earth every 19 years. So you can count from an eclipse and count 19 years later, and that same eclipse will occur. So now we have two numbers of importance, the number 88 and the number 19. Just so happens that those two numbers overlap the events of 9/11 and the events of COVID-19. Well, where's the number 88 with COVID-19, Casey? Well, that was what Trump texted out. He's back to the future. He's the 88 president. He's Biff. Time travel. So there's the 88, and of course 19 is COVID-19, right? What are these people up to? And why are they doing these things every 19 years? Well, it has to have something to do with sacrificial portals of demon possession, mass possession rituals to control people's minds, to open people up to the twin spirits. Let's keep watching here and look at this sound weapon and what it does. The Germans fire the sound weapon at the biplane, right? There's your twin plane. It's firing the weapon at the twin plane, trying to turn it into dust. They escaped the sound weapon. Now, the older man that we opened the decode with, he lives right underneath the twin London Bridge. There's another twin. And he tries to help Jim figure out this whole time twin thing. And while this is happening, watch.
Do you mean that was 1917?
Time travel is not unknown in history. There's evidence that it happens more often than anyone suspects. No, as to that, I think Biggles is your time twin.
Time twin?
Apparently, the hole in time goes both ways. It opens when one or the other is in mortal danger.
This is getting crazier, you know.
You must not fail.
Now, warning. Incoming extreme truth that will wake up even the most asleep person. Because up until now, this all seems somewhat subjective, doesn't it? Coincidences. But it's all going to be confirmed in these next few scenes as the older man tells Jim to stay across the river in the tower. Just before the scene cuts to the Twin Towers. Watch.
Yes, some sort of secret weapon. Biggles seemed real concerned about it.
I've arranged for you to stay at an hotel just across the river, the Tower Hotel.
The scene then zooms in on the towers. What's happening here? Well, we're seeing through the fabric of this reality into a spiritual matrix where all things are being revealed in the last days. Nothing is hidden anymore for those that bother to look and see. He tells him to stay in the tower across the river, and the very next scene cuts to the Twin Towers, not once but twice. A wide angle view and a closer angle view that you're looking at right now. Now, Jim flip-flops back and forth through time, trying to find the German energy weapon in 1917, and he's guided by Biggles in the past and the older man in the present. Let's keep watching here.
I fell through a hole in time.
Oh, you can do better than that.
It's the truth.
You have 3 seconds.
I keep falling through this hole in time, going back to 1917.
Go on. Jim, won't you please tell me what's
Okay,
going on?
Debbie, but I'm telling you, no one ever believes it. I keep going back to World War I, where I'm helping this guy named Biggles find and destroy a German secret weapon.
Jim finally locates the secret weapon in 1917, and they take cover in this igloo-shaped bunker. And they explain here in the movie that it's made out of ceramic, and it's UFO-shaped. They all take cover as they hear the weapon start to power up. One of the guys is trapped outside, and when they emerge, you're not going to believe what they find. Again, extreme truth alert. Steel turned to dust. Watch. So, all the twin imagery and a weapon of mass destruction that turns steel into dust. So, it looks like we found the real weapons of mass destruction, didn't we? Had nothing to do with what they told us.
They perfected a bloody sound weapon.
We going up in your windmill?
So Biggles comes forward in time to 1988, and they steal a helicopter and they fly it back to 1917. And the helicopter is equipped with its own modern frequency weapon. And it looks like a ball attached to the side of the helicopter. Now, there's a couple things going on with this. One, they call, the people in 1917 call Biggles' helicopter, they call it a windmill. And he's like, are you going up in your windmill? So the helicopter is also a metaphor for a spiral portal or a spinning vortex, a corkscrew. So they're telling you here that they open these portals with sound.
Afraid not. I'm going to use it to attack the sound weapon. I want the three of you to go to the convent. Protect the civilians.
So there's the frequency weapon. It looks like a radar tower now. You're not even going to believe this. As if it wasn't exact enough in the symbolism and giving us clues about what this is really about. They fly the helicopter to the sound weapon and they fight sound with sound. And again, another incoming extreme truth warning. Guess what powers the sound weapon? Watch.
Yes!
They're firing the sound weapon up. They're underground. These are the Germans. And as they begin to zero in on the inner workings of the sound weapon.
I'm gonna fight sound with sound!
Sounds crazy.
Throw it out!
What?
The microphone! Throw it out onto the speaker! I'm gonna fight sound with sound!
Boom. CERN. Now I understand this is a generator, but what is it really representing? That's a particle accelerator visually, with all the tubes and going around the center. This is the sound weapon. Now we thought this years ago. We thought that this all had to do something with these particle accelerators. These were the power behind these frequency weapons. Now, remember all the early work we did on this channel about the Brookhaven particle accelerator somehow being involved in whatever energy weapon was used on the towers? Remember that? Heck, even the zip code for Brookhaven, which is 11973, seemed to indicate that they knew when the towers opened in 1973 and they knew when they were going to fall on 9/11. Encoded in a zip code of the Brookhaven National Laboratory long before the towers were even thought of, long before they were even built. Well, check this out. I found this article, Project Paperclip. Remember how they brought over the Nazi scientists after World War II? And apparently Brookhaven housed some of those scientists. I'll put a link to this article. It says here, in defending sterilization experiments, Dr. Victor Bond, a physician at Brookhaven Nuclear Lab, said, "It's useful to know what dose of radiation sterilizes. It's useful to know what different doses of radiations will do to human beings." One of Bond's colleagues, Dr. Joseph Hamilton of the University of California Medical School, San Francisco, said more candidly that the radiation experiments, which he had helped oversee, had a little of the Buchenwald touch. I don't know what that is, but it must be a reference to sterilization. And this is from an article, Operation Paperclip, Nazi Scientist Heads West, from 2017. Now, Paperclip wasn't just about bringing German scientists over to the United States. the actual paperclip shape is also a Gemini shape. It's a twin shape, right? It's a smaller shape within a larger shape. That's what a paperclip is. And now all this is starting to make sense, because this is really about twin possession. Yes, they brought over the scientists from Germany, but what were they really doing with these sound frequencies and radar and all this and millimeter waves? Well, they were playing with the frequencies, weren't they? And they realized that if you dial it to a certain dial, it could cause sterility. Then they realized if you dial it to a different setting, it could turn steel into dust. That's what they were doing. I remember I told you everyone's been acting different lately. It's like the passion is gone from people. And I wonder if some kind of weapon has been deployed that is like neutralized people. It's almost like people are turning into zombies. Now let's keep going with this. Finish this up here. Biggles and Jim then destroy the sound weapon and they complete their mission. It's a pretty intense disclosure, isn't it? Wow. So, gosh, here's that bird again. Whoa, I'll have to get a picture of that for you guys. He shows up at the same exact time every morning and lands on the screen and just hangs out there for a second. Runs into the window a couple times. Crazy, you guys. Anyway, let me check in with you, and then we'll get into the Honey Milk Ranch. I'll show you guys some updated projects. Tomorrow, we're going to be decoding Leave the World Behind. It's a brand new movie with Julia Roberts, Kevin Bacon, Ethan Hawke. And it's all about the end of the world. And in that movie, there's also a sound weapon. What does the sound weapon do? It causes rabies-like symptoms. It causes people to lose the teeth out of their mouth. There's also driverless car accident programming before it happened with the Bentley that ran into the Rainbow Bridge. There's also a prediction of Matthew Perry's death from Friends in the movie as well. So we're going to cover that tomorrow, but let's end the show today with some Honey Milk Ranch update here. Here's a new shelf project that I just did. It's not perfect, but I needed some storage. These shelves were like $10 or $15 on Amazon, so I got them and installed them myself in the dryer. Let's take a look here. Alright guys, thought I'd get you guys all caught up on the Honey Milk Ranch. That is a shelf that I just installed a couple days ago, and it helps get some of the stuff out of the way, out of the living room and the dining room. And this is my dryer area. I might put something to cover this at some point, but right now it's just storage. And he's done with all the trim. The trim is all done. Look at it, it's beautiful. It's the cedar. And I think it goes really, really well with the rest of the place. Excuse the mess. There's still a little bit of mess. This is Max's room. It's all done. I don't think he's coming back. I think he's going to try to get a job with his mother in North Carolina. That's where he's at. If you see a handsome young man walking around that kind of looks like me in Charlotte, that's probably Max. And here's his little bathroom. I just wanted to show you how everything's pretty much done. Now it's time for the other stuff, which is the kitchen and the vanity in the bathroom and the master bath. So I need kitchen cabinets, a sink in here, and look at the border around here. Pretty cool, huh? It's all cedar. I'll take you guys outside too to check out the benches that Scott made for me. Pretty cool. And these are the drapes. I didn't want anything too dark, so I feel like there's already a lot of wood. So I got this color drapes with the loops on them. So I'm just waiting for the rods to come in, and then I could probably put these in myself. Cool. Here's the spider plants. It's winter or late fall, so they definitely need, they're kind of in dormant mode right now. But believe it or not, gnats can still come out of here. I've seen gnats flying around here still. Even though this room really never gets heated. I leave this room unheated during the day because, why heat it? It's just extra energy being wasted. But spider plants. Now, what else is going on? Well, the sun finally came out. And let's go out here. A little bit of sun. It's still cold. It's like in the 40s. But these are the rocking chairs. Just got some pads for them. Sit out here sometimes and just look out. See, the deck's still wet. Now, Scott had an idea. I was like, maybe Scott can make me some benches. So I looked online and I found these benches that you can make for $30 of wood. Now that's all 2x6 wood. I'll put a link to this in the description for you guys so you can kind of see, how they were done. Apparently, so I'll find a link for you guys on these benches. Really cool. So all this bench is 4 pieces of 2x6 lumber. 4 pieces of 2x6 lumber. Which costs about $30. And I got pressure treated, which is way heavier, but it's going to last a lot longer. Out here in the elements, I wanted something that would just last for years. Something for when my friends come over. We can hang out by the fire pit, no matter what kind of weather it is, as long as it's not raining, of course. So I wanted to share this with you guys. Now, the cool thing is Scott's going to make a business out of this. He's going to make these. He's going to sell them. And this is awesome because Scott's about to retire. He's an older gentleman. And he did all that trim that you saw on the inside of the house. And he works for a really good rate. And he's, we've been blessing each other. He said he loves to come out to my property and work. Because he feels a sense of peace out here. And he comes on the weekends and works. So he's already made variations of these benches. He's already turned them into chairs. He can do chairs, benches, end tables. He's done it all. So if you're around this area and you like these, I know probably Cheryl and Jay will want some. He can probably make these for you. Let me keep playing this here. Only with 4 pieces of 2x6, you can make one of these. And it's not that complicated. So Scott put these together for me. They're very comfortable. They're sturdy. I mean, I'm 6'2". Very sturdy bench. And of course, you can light a fire in here. I'm not going to light one today because it's a little bit windy. And I don't want to, start a fire somewhere. But, chilly days. Now I got to fill up that bird feeder again. Because the birds have already gone through the sunflower seeds in like 3 or 4 days. So I got to fill that up again. Now I'm not going to waste those cinder blocks. Those will be used as you see there. What I'm going to do is just stick a flat surface on top and it'll be like a table. In case we have like a picnic out here, right? Just put a flat surface on top and then can make a little table right there. Also got this wood pile cleaned up over here. Looks like the clouds are coming back in. Ooh, it's chilly. So now it's nice for my neighbor who doesn't have to look at my wood pile. See, it's all gone. So I've been working a lot out here. That's all I do in my off time. If I'm not screening videos and editing and presenting, I just basically work around the property. Sometimes I'll just make stuff up to do, Look at his beautiful house. Wow, it's so nice. He did a really good job. So that's the neighbor's property. He just got it all stained. Look how beautiful that looks, like a real log cabin. But it's massive. It's huge. So the wood pile's gone. And So now, what else? Ooh, it's chilly. Boy. Peach tree's hanging in there. Still's got its leaves on the peach tree. Pretty amazing. Hope this gives me some fruit next year. That'd be nice. And I don't know what to do with these blackberry bushes. I guess just leave them be. They're all kind of like turning brown. Wow, I can hear that wind. Whoo! There's the blind, and then the feeder's over there. Deer are not coming out during the day though, so it's only at night. And here is the famed target. Now, I was able to be accurate with this target up to 50 yards. I counted 50 yards. Let's walk down here. 50 yards from here to just outside the sliding glass doors back there. And I was able to group. So here are the holes. And these are all my holes there. And by the end of it, I had it to where I was inside the red here, which is a totally acceptable shot. But the problem is, all my shots went through and stuck inside. Ooh, there's a tip there. You can see that tip there. Broke it off. Broke off all my arrows. There's another tip there. Whoa, there you see them all. I might be able to salvage those tips. Do you see them in there? Let's see if we get some light. Oh, I didn't notice that before. So there's all my arrow tips. I'll just let them sit in there and whatever. They'll rust out. Oh, almost went down. Almost went down, guys. So there's the blind. I just leave that out there so that the animals can kind of get used to it. Although it is a pretty windy day. I hope this thing doesn't blow off. Should probably stake it down or something. It's kind of moving around. But the deer come right up through here. Sometimes they come from this direction, sometimes from that direction, and they walk right on through. So I'm pretty confident in my shot. And another reason why I kind of wanted to make sure I was confident in a 50-yard shot is because at some point I want to range a deer from right about this location to the feeder. So if I could sneak up from back here and hide behind here, that's a 50-yard shot. Same as the target to the deck. It's actually about 40 yards there. So I thought, oh man, if I get pretty good, I can do spot and stock, you know? So that was kind of the point of it. All right. There's my winter wheat. I don't know if those are going to sprout, but Rose gave those to me and said they're supposed to be planted in the winter wheat. So there's the update, you guys. Honey Milk Ranch. It's winter. Not a lot going on. My Thuja green giants are doing okay. They're not growing as fast as I wanted to, but they haven't been in the ground long, so no big deal. They're healthy. They look healthy, and hopefully these will basically provide some kind of privacy at some point from the road, and also to protect from the wind and the dust, because this road can get dusty if it dries out for a couple weeks. Every time a car drives by, it'll kick up a bunch of dust. Got my cedar all through here. It stays green all through the winter. There's a white pine there. You guys have seen that one. There's all my woodwork. So things are coming together. Chilly day. Now, you see there's a house way over there. That's the guy that was sending me nasty letters from the attorney, and had everyone on that street sign like a letter to tell me to take my house off of my property. And I told him to go jump in a lake, of course. He's got a big old massive house over there. Some nosy guy, so I'm sure he's checking out my build now. Anyway, and there's another house way back there in the trees that you can't see, but that house there is, gosh, it's a good half to 3/4 of a mile away. And then there's another one about the same distance in that direction. But there's another road that runs along that ridge over there across the valley. Hope you guys enjoyed the update. Much love. So there's the update for you guys on the Honey Milk Ranch. All right, let's go into the chat for a little bit. See if you guys have any questions. I know Cheryl's probably chomping at the bit going, I want one of those benches. I know he's trying to start a business. So, I mean, he obviously gave me a deal because these were like the prototypes, right? So I'm sure he probably would charge more. But it's well worth it. Like I said, they look really cool. Did I ever decode the Tom Hanks movie Big? I do not believe I decoded that one. Unfortunately, I think we got off of Tom Hanks because remember, he became like the martyr of our truth community, and everyone was like, the controllers kind of came after anyone who was saying anything bad about him. So we kind of hopped off of him. I even took down a bunch of videos because I didn't want to get our channel in trouble. So, is what it is. Now, a lot of that stuff is up on Odyssey still. No rules over there. 19 years is 247 full moons, says Keen. Thanks for that, Keen. Yeah, I'm sure there's much more to the 19-year cycle than meets the eye. And we just got to keep digging, don't we? I forgot about that story. Can you summarize with the neighbor? What am I doing for cabinets? Well, I'm not too far from Gainesville, Missouri. Hey, K Smalls, how's it going? I'm not that far from Gainesville, Missouri, and apparently there's a building supply place there that has everything like way cheaper than you'd even buy it in the big box stores. So apparently my contractor says he can get cabinets from there at like half the price of what it would cost. Now, many of you remember I did the whole IKEA virtual kitchen, but that was just to get an idea of which kinds of cabinets I wanted. Not that I'm going to buy the cabinets from IKEA, but I showed that to my contractor, and he's like, yeah, we can get those from Gainesville Building Supply for nothing. And he goes, I'll get them in for you. So I don't want to spend a fortune on a kitchen. I've already been there, done that. I'll tell you a story. When I bought my second house in Santa Maria, California, during my first marriage, the house was an older house. And so, I promised my wife that I would make it like really nice for her. So that's what I did. And so I put in a brand new Thomasville kitchen I think it was from Home Depot. Had glass fronts on the cabinets. You wouldn't believe how much that kitchen costs. I think it was about $15,000, and that was back in 2002 or 3 or something. And I promised myself I'd never spend that much on a kitchen ever again. Not to say that it's not nice to have a nice kitchen, but it's just overkill. That's a lot of money. So now I'm thinking somewhere in the like $1,000 to $2,000 range. I can get a basic kitchen in there. There's not a lot of room in there anyway. But I'm not going to do the Corian countertops and all that nonsense in it again. And I know it's nice and everything, but it's a cabin, right? It's a cabin. Stuff, right? Stuff. Kitchens are overrated. I agree 100%, Joni. Yeah. I mean, you can have a nice kitchen without spending $15,000 for a Thomasville kitchen with lights underneath that light up the countertop and all that stuff. So, yeah. Now, I share with you guys a lot of the stuff that I'm working on just because I'm a budget person. I don't like to spend tons of money on things. first of all, I don't have a lot of money to do that with. And just it's to help show you guys you can do a lot of this stuff on your own. Now, I could have put all these baseboards and trim up myself. I could have bought a nail gun and done it myself. But Scott needed to work, and he works for a really good rate. He does carpentry, and he only works for like $20 an hour. So he'll come and in like 5 hours, he'll get a lot done. And to me, if I were to go out and buy all that equipment that I'll probably not use too much ever again, it's just easier just to pay him to do it. So I show you this stuff because, yes, you can use 1x4 cedar boards to make trim out of. And cedar does a couple different things. It keeps bugs away. Like spiders and bugs don't like cedar. So now you're not going to get like cobwebs in corners and things. And you're not going to get bugs trying to creep into your house, crawling around. Now, we'll put this to the test in the spring when all the bugs come back, right? But I noticed a significant difference. And the cedar just smells nice. It smells super nice, especially if you put a little water on it. It smells really neat. So these are just little life hacks. You know, a lot of you are homesteading, or maybe you own your home, or maybe you just want to work on a project. And you can buy cedar boards. I think they're like $9 a board. And they go a long way. And you can trim out your windows and stuff like that. So, yeah. Cheryl says, we need Scott to fix the deck. Karen used pallet boards and built cabinets for our cabin. It was free. There you go. And there's all different levels of, you know, how involved you want to get, how much you want to spend. You can do a lot of this stuff almost for free. You know, so Ranex lives in a pole barn. Awesome. So, what else is going on? Rachel says built my dressers are made from cedar. Makes my clothes smell like cedar. Yeah. Nice. Less is more. Absolutely. Yes, Tony, thank you. Yesterday's episode, part 2 of the new Hunger Games movie, is on Odyssey, in case it got blocked in your country. And I put a link in the part 1 decode for those of you that missed it. So, all right. What else is going on? Why is it suddenly trending? What's trending? Starchild lives outside in the desert. Awesome. Facebook Marketplace. Lots of people give away old cabinets that can be redone. Absolutely, Esma. Great point. Now, in my particular situation, you know, I've learned a lot living out here in the country. There are such things as rat infestations happen at the community center that I go to. And it's crazy. There's this whole like drama going on at the community center over here because the people that had a library, basically the mice and rats came into the community center and kind of like were walking all over the books and also like defecated on the books and were using them as nesting. And so they lost a lot of their books. And so the library was downsized. So it kind of caused like a big community stink. There was some drama over here. I went to a meeting and people were upset. Now there wasn't any screaming or anything going on, but it got pretty heated because the people wanted their library back. So it's like the library against the community or something. It's crazy. But anyway, you learn things about secondhand stuff. And yeah, a lot of secondhand stuff is good, but you should also check it for any kind of mice, or because that stuff can make you sick. It transmits like hantavirus and stuff like that. So you got to be very careful when you pick up secondhand stuff. Also, there's smoke damage. If someone was a heavy smoker, that stuff gets into the wood and stuff. So I just opted to do new and cheap. So cheap materials that are new, just to have a baseline. So just something to look for when you pick up secondhand stuff. Yeah, I was shocked. This community out here is only about 400 to 500 people in the entire community that I live in. Okay. And it's out in the country outside of the main city that's about 30 minutes away. And there was a whole lot of people that showed up to this thing. We were all looking around at each other going, whoa, look at all this stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I removed the mods. Thanks, Case Moss, for reminding Starchild. All the mods have been removed from the channel. Not removed or blocked or anything, but I just took all the wrenches back. We just self-moderate here. So if somebody's bothering you, you can block that person and you'll never have to see their comment ever again. You can block them personally. But I think it's less toxic the way it is now. And we essentially, we haven't had a problem really recently, have we? Kind of went through and got rid of all the bad players that come to the channel and try to disrupt. It's okay to have an opinion about anything you want. Just be nice and courteous to everybody, okay? And you can have whatever opinion you want. But like I said, just be nice and courteous. And everybody pretty much has behaved, haven't they? So that's good. Well, what else is going on? Yeah, Brandon. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Dirt cheap home improvements. Susie says there's a rat plague in northern Queensland, Australia. Oh my goodness. Libraries are important with the modern day book burning. Yeah, it became a political thing. I think the people at the library were actually left leaning, and it became like a vendetta almost, and they were going around getting fake. It was kind of funny actually. They were going around getting fake signatures for a petition. They had like hundreds of signatures, and some of the people that signed were like dead. They weren't even people that were alive anymore. It was like a microcosm of what's happening in the rest of the country. I was a little bit shocked, but yeah. And I don't know who's going to win the battle of the library. But we will see. Yeah. Also, look, it's a good time for gun safety, okay, to think about that. We had a very sad passing of a young lady that I actually met once when I was at my friend Mike's house, and there was an accidental shooting, and so it was a very sad time in the community here. I didn't really talk about it just to respect the privacy of the people in the community, but it was kind of a big deal. We're not sure exactly what happened. It's kind of the whole secret of it has kind of been, it's been kind of held as a secret, but it's assumed that it was an accidental shooting by someone who, let's just say, a very sad situation, and that's all I can pretty much say about it. But yeah, these things happen, so be very, very careful. It is hunting season. Be careful. Gun safety, always, always. Yeah, and it's crazy. Such a small community, very small community. And this happened, and I actually met this young lady. I think she was probably 21 or 22 years old, and lost her life because of an accident. So, all right, what else is going on in the chat? Thanks, Jody. Jody says, I love all you've accomplished. Grateful for your channel. Praise Yah for the blessing you've come to all of us. You guys are a blessing to me. Even sometimes when I'm feeling down or whatever, I know I have a family here every day. You guys are like my family. I don't spend enough time with you. I really don't. The amount of time that I should be spending with you, just because I get into this stuff and it doesn't stop. But, it's interesting you bring that up, because God has been impressing something on my heart lately. We're going on 11, almost 12 years on this channel. And the message I'm starting to get from him is that we're almost home. That this isn't going to go on much longer. That the Enterthestars channel might not be around for much longer, for whatever reason. Could this be the rest period for the channel? You guys, I have not looked up. I have not stopped for all these years. As you know, in the very, very beginning, I was also still in the Matrix. I had a full-time job, but then by the time 2014 rolled around, I was just doing this channel. That's it. So I'm a little bit tired. I'm a little bit battle worn, screening all these movies and, editing and decoding. And yes, I guess I've gotten good at it. I'm more efficient, but it takes a toll on you after a while, And sometimes the days where I feel like I don't want to do this anymore, I remember the promise that I made to God that I wouldn't stop. But then he's telling me that he might give me a rest somehow. I don't know what form that's going to take, but I'm tired, and even, my friends and family and significant others that I've had in the past will tell you that I don't stop. And they'll tell you that, that this is the work that I've been given and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But, yeah, I'm starting to come to the end of this. I feel like, the effectiveness of what we do, it maybe isn't doing what it used to be able to do to wake people up. I guess that is probably what God's telling me. He's like, you know what? We live in an age now. I was just watching something. It was a deep fake. It was actually Obama next to bin Laden, and it was a deep fake artificial intelligence picture. And now they're coming right out and saying it. They're like, oh, and they'll run these stories. They'll actually show the deep fake or the artificial intelligence image. And when they do this, what it is doing is it's softening the target. It's creating a atmosphere of uncertainty where you don't know what to believe anymore. And it saddens me sometimes when I do all this work on some of these videos and only to see some people in the comments. I'm not going to say most of you. For the regulars, obviously, you guys know that what I'm showing you is real. There's no editing, there's no tricks. Like with this Biggles, for instance, but now I'm starting to see a weird trend where people that are new to the channel will come here and they'll say things like, that's fake, or that's not real, or that can't be real, or that's a stretch. And I'm seeing this weird trend where people don't even believe what they're seeing anymore. So it doesn't matter. You could show the actual Twin Towers falling into dust in a movie from 20 years before it happened, and people would automatically, if they were just to click on that by accident, they would think it was fake. They would think it was Photoshop. They would think that you were a channel just making stuff up. And this is the atmosphere that we live in now, where nobody knows what's real anymore. And so therefore, how effective can we really be with decoding these movies? Because people will just say it's fake. And then other people believe it. They're like, oh, that has to be faked. So truth has become destabilized. That's a word I'm looking for. It's become destabilized, unrealistic. And I remember when the truth community first started, and I actually came a little bit late to the game. I was in 2012. There was already an established truth community all the way back to the beginning of YouTube, 2007, in that area, but I came a little bit late. But I remember when I first was waking up and first started my channel, and some of these videos were very profound. They would go viral. People would wake up. They were hungry for truth. And now it's like people aren't so hungry for truth anymore, are they? And yes, we have our foundation, our bedrock of our community, which I'll never, ever, ever forsake, and I'll always be grateful to you guys. But we live in a very cynical world now where people won't even look at some of these videos. And if they do, they'll just think it's been faked, Photoshop, or stretched. And so this is what God's telling me. He's like, this isn't going to go on for much longer. You'll get to rest. And I don't know if that rest means he's coming back, or he's going to put me in a rest mode for my service to him all these years. I don't know what form it's going to take. He hasn't given me that answer yet. But anyway. Yeah. Debbie says, I can't get my parents out of their slumber from the TV. Yeah. And I do these decodes for people like your parents who are still locked into the TV. So, you show them a decode on Biggles, or you don't even have to show them the decode. You just say, wow, look at this. Twins and things turning into dust. And then all of a sudden that might snap people like that out of their slumber and out of their sleep. That's the hope. So, Dick says, Justice Channel just said he's taking a break. So there's got to be something in the air. I don't know who Justice Channel is, but there's got to be something in the air. Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, I will see you tomorrow with Leave the World Behind. And then the day after that, we'll get caught up on some headlines. I know you guys, some of you are missing the headlines. So we'll get back into those as well. There are some updated headlines. We're still waiting for this volcano to erupt in Iceland. The earthquake activity has fallen off quite a bit. There's a more frequency of the earthquakes, but the severity of the earthquakes are much lower. They were marking magnitudes in the 5s and 4s for many days, and now they're down in the 1s and 2s. So things are starting to fall off, but this is how these things work. They're like birth pangs, so they'll back off for a while and then they'll come back full force. So still doing the watch on the volcano eruption in Iceland, in Grindavik, and then also some other headlines to get caught up on. Believe it or not, one of you sent me this. We'll cover this day after tomorrow. One of you sent me. There's a community that is rejecting 5G. Now, let's not get all our hopes up, because the community that's rejecting it is an elite community, and now this has me thinking. We need to look around and see what other elite communities are rejecting 5G. Because how fair is that? That's not fair. Oh, they get to reject 5G, the federal, requirement to upgrade to 5G, but then the rest of us get to suffer with millimeter waves? No, I don't think so. So we're on the trail of that as well. If you know of a local community that's upscale, that's rejecting 5G, please email it to me so we can put together a complete analysis on this and call these people out. All right, you guys, I'm hungry. I'm gonna go get some food, check on this bird. I got a new friend bird. Maybe I'll put some, the feeder's over there. I don't understand why he's at my window, but I'll go check on him, make sure he's all right. Big bird too. It's good, definitely bigger than a chickadee. It's like 3 times the size of a chickadee. But yeah. All right, you guys. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.